It's difficult to try to make a living doing this for anybody. I think that there's an element of it where you have to make a choice of, are you going to follow your heart, so to speak, and make what, speaks to you, or are you going to adapt that to fit into the system? And I know a lot of DJs that started out, as mixtape DJs and were, hella creative, and then at a certain point they just went for the money. And what happens is that you do that, you might be cool for a little while, but eventually you're going to burn out on it. And I think that for me, it was always much more important to follow, the love for it. So, it's been a roller coaster. It's been up and down in terms of, building a business. But I always looked at it as, if things are going up like this, then you keep feeding it. And so, for many years, it was all the money I made fed back into the business to try to figure out how to make this sustainable. And I think part of it is having a long view and, being able to ride out those ups and downs for sure. I think also it's about just being strategic and creative, not just in how you approach your art, but in how you approach the delivery of your art. So, to me, it's like a puzzle. And I've always looked at it like that, where if you can find the right place for your art, then there's a stream there to make a living doing it. The hard part is finding that stream. And, so there's been moments where I felt like it's a rocket, rising to the moon. And then there's been moments where things were going so slow that I was like, I don't know if this is going to, work out forever. But, the truth is that I had a friend of my dad's who's a very big movie director that he knew through school. I sat down with him when I was early in my career, and I said to him, to kind of break down how to have longevity. And what he said is that even, a guy like him who's won Oscars and made tons of money, that every single project he goes out, he looks at it like this could be the last one if he doesn't put everything he has into it. And that there's no guarantees even at that level. And I think part of that lesson is, being courageous and, and just like pursuing your dreams. So it's like, it's not for the faint of heart, this is not for everybody. If you really want to do this in a way that survives, you're going to have to ride out, with a lot of that up and down. But I think that ultimately what happens is you build a place for yourself, and then you just kind of have to feed those people. So that's all abstract. To be concrete about it, I'll say that, the game has changed so many times since I've started. So when I started out as a mixtape DJ, even as a DJ, it was like, going to a club, playing the club, you get paid. Okay, I make how much money? Okay, I got to do this how many times a week in order to be able to pay my rent? Cool. Then next level is, I made these mixtapes and my friends are hitting me like, yo, like I'm seeing bootlegs of your mixtapes on Canal Street. So I was like, okay, break down the game. How does it work? And my man, DJ G Brown, he took me to Canal Street, Fulton Street, 125th Street, and walked me through the process. He was Afu Ra's DJ, back then. And I saw the whole process. And that's part of what cued me into things like, well, yo, if everything is on a wall, then my stuff has to stand out. So that's where the art comes in. And so that's, the strategic approach there. Then it was like, okay, how do I just continue to flip this, bigger and bigger and bigger? And back then it was physical mixtapes. So, I had 20 interns working for me at one point in time, like moving these things all over the world. But, when things went digital, everything had to switch up. So I think in the digital world, it's just a very different game. And for the last, 10 years, I've been trying to find a way to make these mixes legitimate, so to speak, where they're out in the world in that way. And it's taken trying and failing many times to be able to get to the point where I can put these mixes on Apple Music, or I can do it in a legit way. So, it's not like there's an easy formula for it. It really is a question of always looking at the game and being strategic, just like you are with your art. I would say you got to do that with your business. You got to try and be creative. The world is getting smaller and smaller. And so there are fans out there for you. If you're making dope stuff, like, you just got to find them. I think for me, again, that's changed, so many times, like going from being like, a single dude, in a 1-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn doing this, to, you know, having a family and doing this, you know, all bets are off now and everybody's around. So, you know, I think that for me, there's just a commitment to the craft that keeps me up late, gets me up early, makes me always go back and try to fine tune and tweak things and make them better and better. And I think that, you know, my approach is much more like kind of all in, you know, like I think that I wish I had a routine, you know, of get up in the morning and you know, meditate and do, you know, I envy the people that are able to do that. I think I move best in the eye of the storm. And so, you know, in some ways I'm in the perfect environment because it's, you know, when there's chaos and all this other stuff happening, that's when I find my best focus. I was definitely like the type of kid who did the paper the night before it was due, you know, but I found that laser focus to be able to do that. So I think that for me, it's about clearing out space in my mind and just trying to find that, you know, quiet, I guess. It's, you know, it doesn't have to be quiet, but it's like the quiet in my mind to be able to focus. And that for me is just like early morning and late at night. And, you know, you got to be adaptable. I think, you know, the world is in a crazy place. So, you know, routine is great. And people that have routine, like I said, I envy them. But my routine is all or nothing. I think that passion is something that you can't put a measure on. It drives you back every time. And I love what I do. So, you know, I wake up eager to get started working. It doesn't feel like work to me. And I think when you get to the point where you realize the joy that you're bringing other people as well, that also fuels you to go harder. So, like I said, I started this quarantine out, you know, really quiet and not feeling creative at all. And I think when I started to realize that people really need this to make it through this time, like they need music. And, you know, and you don't hear people running in any of these IG live sets. You don't hear any of the stuff you hear on the radio. All you hear is soulful music, like things that take you to a place and make you feel a certain way. And, you know, my whole career is built on creating those spaces. So, you know, once I dipped my toe in and I saw the response, that also has become fuel for me right now in a moment where I could easily distract myself and I want to go outside and, you know, mess around, shoot baskets, whatever. But I feel this obligation now to feed people because everyone's going through this right now. And if what I'm doing can help them in that way, then that's only extra fuel to the fire that I already have to sit down and try to make some hot shit.